All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna check out its local search or city search, see if either of them got BSS. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if a boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing in piece from the entire intent spectrum, way over on the left, highest intent, way over on the right, lowest intent. If a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one or one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, way over on the left, we got BSS boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent peeps, people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google, and wherever on the left, the lowest intent people. That's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page, page 2 or deeper. That's gonna be a fast death for our business, because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers, probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers are just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, would never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile and Google Maps. They got their website up, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a superpowered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots, even for new peeps, was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if there's the same number of buyers remained, then, then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality. This, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine, so pushing me down to page 2. But that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites, and maybe Google will put me back on page 1, because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me, and it's kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire. And Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, Um, and we only got one slot. We're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so, a disappearing boudoir photographer, having BSS, this is the canary in the coal mine, kind of the warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear. But luckily, we now have a solution. So that solution, we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. They actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge to the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page 1 of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI is here. I'm going to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So SQ methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website competing to be page 1 on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our S-cubed methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page, and 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this SKG methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, one tree with SKG methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page 2. So if we kick them onto page 2, off page 1, on page 2, deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page 1. Because the 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why they're Google is recommending us 3 different times, and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page 1. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to, or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So it's our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So it's our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S-cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S-cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here, organic slot page 1, organic slot page 2, organic slot page 3, slot 4. I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots, and we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S-cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. All right, main event here. Gonna check out this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it's local search, city search, if we got BSS here. All right, so we're going to Pooler, Georgia, then Savannah, Georgia. All right, Pooler, Georgia. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 local search. Check Savannah. Let's check Savannah. Boom, we got 1 Savannah. So we got 1 in our city search. All right, so local search, we got 1 out of 10. City search, we got 1 out of 10. So we got BSS for both boudoir search sameness. And for both of them, we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've actually done your local searches, your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you have seen you got BSS for at least one of those searches, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search for at least one of those searches. And you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. So like, man, yeah, we actually can take as many page 1 slots on Google as we want. And so you kind of broke through the mental barrier, and you're seeing, wow, S-cubed methodology, that's the solution I need. That's what I've been waiting for. It's the solution for me. And you're liking the initial benefits, yeah, more slots for you, page 1 Google search. And then obviously you also like kicking your competing with photographers off page 1, effectively rendering them invisible to approximately 80% of the market, or approximately 80% of buyers. That's a good strategic move. And you understand market saturation, yeah, more peeps become boudoir photographers over time, and it's because people upgrade their gear. But you're also remembering back in COVID, what happened? A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people still need to earn money. Everyone's got a superpowered smartphone with an ultra camera. So a ton of new boudoir photographers enter the market. Increased supply, more sellers for the same number of buyers, harder for every single seller. And now you're seeing AI taking more people's jobs. And you're actually seeing that more peeps will, AI is only simply going to get better and better over time. Going to take more and more people's jobs over time. So like, people upgrading their gear, come boudoir photographers, and people, on top of that, way more people actually losing their jobs due to AI. Going to be coming and being boudoir photographers on top of all that, the people upgrading their gear. So you're realizing it's not just simply about getting page 1 links and kicking competitors off page 1. You actually need to fortify your position. Like literally have page 1 backup links where you got so many links that you've already taken up basically all the slots you can on page 1, that all the other links that could be ranking on page 1, Google actually puts them, page 2, page 3, page 4, kind of like backlog of links that are page 1 worthy. So then you can essentially prevent all current boudoir photographer competitors from ever ranking on page 1, and also essentially prevent all the future boudoir photographers from ever future boudoir photographers that actually come through AI taking their job from ever ranking on page one. So you're understanding you got to fortify your position, like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's actually below sea level, so they got to fortify the levees against the ocean. And you're saying, okay, how do we get all these links? And you're saying, okay, SQ methodology, got it. That's fortification. That's the benefit SQ methodology gives as well. And you want to achieve page one visibility in order to become a visible boudoir photographer, to achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need these things on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you are also understanding kind of the future benefits of SQ methodology, where all these social search saturation we're doing for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. You're understanding that we're basically building like these invisible thematic keyword columns, plugging them into your brand, your business name, your website name, your personal name, your social media handles. And every day we build these up by successfully executing SQ methodology. We're actually increasing the probability in two places, that we show up in two places. The first one here, AI overview. Most premium placement in Google search. #1 organic slot here. Cannot buy this with ads. And we're also increasing the probability of being shown in AI search apps. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Increasing the probability of showing up there every day. And that's important because AI search is growing every day while Google standard search is declining every single day. And you know that AI search is important. So these two benefits, AI overview, AI search, SQ methodology gives these, because it's exactly what we're doing, building the invisible thematic keywords columns. It's kind of like back-end AI keyword mindshare. That's kind of momentum. That's exactly what it is. So every day we do it. Success of SQ methodology, we're increasing the probability of showing up here. And I remember the last time I searched for boudoir photographers in a city with an AI app, was with ChatGPT. It gave me 3. But I went to then look manually, Google standard search, Facebook search, and dude, there's like 60. It's like, man, we gotta get in on these AI slots any way possible. And that's SQ methodology is the greatest, best way that I've ever seen that enables the highest probability for a boudoir photographer to achieve that. And you also like future benefits, yeah, can help build a brand approximately 8x faster than standard methods. And you also understand that my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. And so you like getting all these benefits, and also you like being able to prevent your competitors from getting these benefits, so you can actually build up massive link war chest, link ranking, and link kind of back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum. Massive gap between you and your competitors to basically make it so that that gap can be made so big that basically nobody can, no current competitor could essentially catch you, and no future competitor that actually comes from AI taking a job to basically ever catch you. You also, and that's why you decided to be first mover, because you want all these benefits and to prevent your competitors from getting all these benefits. You let that gap, because you understand the converse. The converse is actually that one of your competitors in your city signs on me first. We're putting their links, page 1 Google search. You're getting pushed off. You're on page 2 or 3 or somewhere deeper and visible to approximately 80% of the market or more. We're fortifying their page 1 links in Google search, so that essentially you'll never be able to rank on page 1 again as long as we keep executing. We're building up the back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum, and make it a super large gap between your competitor and you. And you're realizing to compete, you'd actually have to rederive SQ methodology, which, well, derive it for the first time, and you would never actually know if you've derived it correctly. 100%, you'd never be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. And then you'd have to go execute it every single day, same as us. But if you did both those things, the gap me and your competitor have already have ahead of you, it would be the same distance. You'd be maintaining the size of that gap. So to make any headway, close that gap, you'd actually have to outwork us like 2 to 3x every single day. And if you did that, well, then first of all, you wouldn't be 100% confident you've derived the strategy correctly. So it'd be hard to even put in 2 to 3x the time every single day. And then you'd be sitting there like, well, screw this. Who's got 80 hours to do all this stuff, all this work every single day? So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed right now. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when the hospital does open for new patients, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.